before they get on the show.
I think we're like almost like old people looking at. I remember I was teaching my father once how to mess with a computer, and he came up to the center and we had a computer, and I was showing him how to just the basics of it. And I think that's kind of where we at, guys. What is going on? It is Community Beacon. It's the day after Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving leftovers.
That's it.
I hope everyone had an enjoyable and especially safe holidays. And so, this we're going to get on this show. We're actually going to be closing out the year shortly. So, we'll have I'm sure we'll have a series as we close out the year, something that we'll come up with shortly. But we did want to play this intro. So we'll play the intro first and then we'll jump in.
Yo, check the mic, 1, 2, Beacon is the name. Lights up the city, ain't playing no games. Joel Simmons and Michael, Seville, the vision is clear. Dropping knowledge, conquering all of your fear. Beacon, that's the sound of the future. The main hosts are here, they built the whole structure. Community strong, we rise from the ground. The Beacon power up, yeah, time to look up.
Tell us what y'all think. Put it in the chat, y'all. Put it in the chat. Don't bother DMing. Just put it flat out, right out there in the front. We want everybody to see your comments.
I'm gonna play it again so that they can get now knowing that they're gonna comment on it. So listen to this and then comment on it. I'm curious.
Yo, check the mic, 1, 2, Beacon is the name. Lights up the city, ain't playing no games. Joel Simmons and Michael, Seville, the vision is clear. Dropping knowledge, conquering all of your fear. Beacon, that's the sound of the future. The main hosts are here, they built the whole structure. Community strong, we rise from the ground. The Beacon power up, yeah, time to look up.
I like that picture of you, man, where you're sitting in the chair and you're looking back. I like that picture right there. That's a dope catch.
What is that? Blue Steel. That was my best rendition of Blue Steel. For those of you who haven't watched Zoolander, if you go back and watch Zoolander, he had a look, and that was Blue Steel. That was my best reenactment of Blue Steel. I really felt like a model when I was taking those pictures. So I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you saying that. Guys, it's Mike, it's Palm Beach Mike, Joel Simmons, Tenacity Foundation. We are here again. It is Friday. New intro. I think it's interesting. It almost it's an upbeat kind of deal, right? So it's not the usual rap that I listen to, right? It's not the usual rap that I listen to, but it's a dope upbeat kind of in there. And I actually, for a while, I thought it was the brother's son who was actually rapping it. So I kept saying, "Oh, that's Jonah. That's Jonah." And he finally said, that's not Jonah, right?" I said, I thought the brother got Jonah in the studio originally. I was like, "That's Jonah in the studio." So here we are, man. New intro right after Thanksgiving. We're getting to it. Brother, what is on your mind?
Hey, man. Gratefulness. Absolutely gratefulness. I'm just 100% grateful. Man, I've been down here in Hollywood. We're rolling out the new season of It Starts With Me. The new season. This was the last thing that was on my list of accomplishments for the year 2025. The last thing. And it's crazy because every single thing that I put on that list back in 2024, I have done. And this is the last component was to complete season 4 of It Starts With Me and for it all to be live. That's the thing. All of it's live. And it wasn't until now that it's like God brought it all together. So intentionality, Mike, intentionality is this. Fourth quarter 2024, I set out a strategic plan for the year 2025. I came into the year knowing I had 30 different events that I was going to be participating in, speaking at, guiding, leading, or constructing. We went through all of them and more. And this is the last one. And at the very end of last month to the beginning of this month, I was talking with my photographer and he said, Joel, I'd like to talk with you more about the podcast. I said, okay. And we came up with a connection. And so now he's taping them live and we're building this thing up. And it's like just the intentionality, it just put me in such a good space because one, I'm completing what I desired to complete in 2024 for 2025. I've been very successful in achieving every single thing that's on that list. Two, it wasn't that I directly did everything, but it was more that I started the process of doing each and every last one of those things. And they led to other opportunities that I was then prepared for because I was in the midst of it. I was doing the work in the midst of it, intentional. And so, like, seeing that and then getting on this thing with you today, and you just like, man, if I was any better, I'd have to pay God. Enough said. I'm right there with you. That's exactly the way I feel.
So I hear a sound of accomplishment. Would that be accurate?
That's it, man. Definitely a sound of accomplishment. I know that we have a delay, probably about 3 seconds maybe. But man, I definitely feel accomplished. But so Mike, it's more than just accomplishment, right? It's more because I'm telling you, I'm in the midst of some very challenging scenarios and decisions right now. I'm in the midst of it, but it's okay. It's okay. I don't mind it. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for every single challenge, all of them. So yeah, there's a feeling of accomplishment. There's a gratefulness for accomplishment. I'm more excited about knowing that I pressed my way through all of it, that I went through the entire process, than actually being able to say that I accomplished the things that I set forward to do. Like recording earlier today was great. It was amazing. However, the process is the thing that made me grow.
That's interesting. So we started off with the intent being intentional. The end of the last year, 2024. I even remember us going through the plans. The business plans. Like this was some of the stuff that we spoke about in regard, not the specifics on here, but we spoke about creating that plan, especially going into the fourth quarter. And I think a lot of I've noticed that people aren't creating that plan, right? That was one of the things that I grew with as I got deeper and experienced more into business, was actually creating a plan of what next year would be like, as opposed to just, you kind of round out the year, right? You round out the year, Thanksgiving comes up like it was yesterday. Hopefully everyone, like I said, happy, safe, and ate good food. I know this is the Thanksgiving leftovers. And then we kind of roll into Christmas. And if you had accomplished some of the things that in your mind you wanted to accomplish, you were happy with it, but there wasn't forward thinking until it was New Year, New Me. It's almost everyone filing into the gym at that time. Like, okay, now, which I enjoy. I've been saying this for years. It's awesome when everyone is in a certain, there's a consciousness going on, like a momentous movement happening, right? And the funny thing is, marketers know that too. That's why you're starting to see a lot more marketing ads and videos around this time, because they know people are starting to believe, oh, I need to make a change, especially specifically those who didn't do anything, or in their mind they didn't accomplish, right? Which I still think most people you accomplish. If you at least even get to awareness, that part of it, then you've accomplished something. If you become aware of it, now it's, things start. So I appreciate what you mentioned was, and it resonated for me, was the journey aspect, or the process. Excuse me, you called it the process. In my mind, I heard journey, right? So when you reference the journey and the process and pushing through it, or you said pushing through, but just being in it and aware of it, and the growth happening with the process, to the point now, you've you say that you've accomplished everything, but in my mind I'm like, okay, well, Joe, there's still journey to go, right? Like we're still within, in the larger arch of things, the journey, but that process and that journey, and having joy and gratitude while you do it. This is the season, like this is the season of this gratefulness and this, and the gratitude portion of it. And what I love to do during this season is to experience it with everyone else. And what I would love to see other people do is to actually be here for this moment and like carry it through, like not just be here and actually be joyful of these moments and end this season, right? But man, brother, congratulations to you. I know there was a lot, what the IRS would call life-changing moments, right? Like the life-changing events. If you check out the IRS, will say, "Did you have a life-changing event?" That's one of the questions they ask you when you're filing your taxes. And I know for you, there were some life-changing events, shifts within what outside people see as your identity. I think you had this identity the entire time, but from the outside looking in, they could say, okay, this is a changed person, and I've seen the growth. What do you think about that?
First off, I'd like to just tell you I appreciate that. I take that 100% as a compliment, and I own it. You and those that are close to me, close enough to be able to hear and understand the words of myself that I speak. Not many of those people, but those people, I definitely am grateful. I'm grateful for you. Um, it's true, man. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of growth. I am exactly who I desire to be, and I'm still working on who I desire to be. I say that purposely, intentionally, because there's still so much more to me. And that exploration, as you stated, that journey is still on. Oh my gosh. So in accomplishing my hit list of things that I accomplished this year, it opened up a brand new hit list. We started off this thing so long ago with Habakkuk 2 and 2 and 3. Write the vision upon the tables and make it plain. And it was all about giving the person power to activate and to run. And I think that this is super important because as people are searching out for their self-identity, which I believe that this is one of those times, during this time of the year and going into the new year, people start to search out, wondering if they've done all they could have done in the year that's passing. And as the new year comes on, wondering what they're able to do, setting their mind on new things. And the whole process of just being sometimes is lost, right? The presence, being, just enjoying life, not just getting and getting and getting and getting. There's a time and a place for all things. There's a time to get, there's a time to give, there's a time to just be. And so I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this, brother, because right now it's a time of being, it's a time of doing, and it's a time of receiving. You know, that's what's happening in my life right now. I am planting seeds for tomorrow. I am harvesting what I planted yesterday, and I am enjoying the moment. I think that you commented on my IG the other day. A few people did, because I was in the middle of putting some things together, and I was just like, you know what? Let me just be present right now. I went to the back patio, put my feet up, socks out, laid there with the dogs in my chair, and just felt the sun. Watched the ducks land and the fish jump, the clouds move. Ah, and after I did it once, Mike, I went back like an hour or two later and did it again.
Yeah, goodness. Yeah, goodness. That is that being and stillness of life. And I saw it on IG and I'm just like, yeah, I like that. Right. Like and I think it's dope that you put it on there because it gives a person like myself reminders of, yeah, this is it. Right. And getting a chance to really be in the balance of that. An acceptance of that moment. Like that's to me, that's joy. Um and I was listening to a guy, and as a matter of fact, I'll be doing his connection course this next month. Joe Hudson, awesome leadership guide, and he said that when he speaks with people, their ability to rest and their ability to be still is like it automatically tells them what he needs to know in regards to what a person has to work on or not, like that, whatever it is, like this being where a person is at kind of state, and not to put a person in a box, but it resonated with me because I was like, I remember there were so many times when I was just like, oh, I'm on the go, I'm moving this, my lack of ability to be still, even though the stillness was calling for me, right? That the stillness was called, like, slow down, like relax, but I had to see what it was like on to the other end, which was chaotic to me, which is all this moving, like it wasn't in alignment with my being. And so when I see you relaxing and putting your feet up, it's and the awareness to do it, right? Because there's times when we probably know we should kind of shut it down, like I know I should shut it down, and then there's that other voice in us that's like, nah, the tropes, you sleep when you die, and this hustle culture that we tend to be in. But there's a party that's like, you've had enough, just stop, right? Whether it's a minute or it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just stop. And I think that goes back to kind of what we're talking about now as far as Thanksgiving leftovers, because as we went through Thanksgiving and we had the joy, for those of us who were with family or those of us who took time off, the next day is kind of just like, in my mind, is like I'm savoring this food, right? Like the food was excellent the day, right? Thanksgiving, but then the next day, already knowing it's here, it's bountiful, it was cooked with love. Hopefully, it was cooked with love. I can tell the difference, people. I can tell the difference when you cook with love and when you don't cook with love. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Even when people serve me, I'm like, I know this food was given to me with love, and that reflects on your tip. I'm just letting you know. But the next day, and just being in that moment, and it's like, right. Although some of you all jumped up early this morning and went Black Friday shopping, I know that happened as well. And here's the dope thing about it is you can find stillness in all of this stuff. Like I will go make it a point for me to go to the mall during Christmas when it's hectic and amongst all of that stuff and sit down, because what it does is it shows me like this um the duality of the life. Like everybody's moving around and you know, in the Christmas cheer or whatever, but there's a lot of movement, but me just sitting still in it. Like to me, that's the Christmas spirit to me, where I could just go to the mall and I can just sit and I'm watching people moving around and they're buying gifts, right? To give and gifting and being a blessing and receiving and so on and so forth. Like all of this stuff to be able to witness it. I told you beginning, like that to me is like I love getting caught up in the consciousness. And then I take it, I use it throughout the year, because every day to me is like Christmas, right? That's how I've curated my life to be. Like every day is Christmas, every day is every day is giving thanks and joyful. And then when we have these moments of the Thanksgiving and the Christmas, it gives me a time to really sit in it and enjoy it with everybody else, right? Which is joyful to me. Like, oh, I'm glad we get a chance to see it. That it's just sparks to me. So you mentioned something else. You said the being of it, and then you get it. There's a time for being, there's a time for doing, there's a time for receiving. And the popular phrase that most people use is you gotta be, do, have. Most people believe you gotta have first or you gotta do first. But what a lot of people have found is that if you are already in the being of it, then even the doing becomes joyful. And then, you know, the results come from it. And the dope part about that is that the results that you get are even more bountiful oft times than what you thought it was gonna be. Like you can't imagine how bountiful and filled with love and care once you're in the being and the do, you know, you're in the being and the doing of it. What, and oftentimes it doesn't even matter. Like it's like, oh, this is, oh wow, this is just a part of it. So I'm excited. I'm assuming a lot of people could tell in my voice is that I'm excited about. There's just such a sense of joy and peace within all of that for me, right? So, man, what are your plans for as we move through this going into the first quarter? What are some hopes and thoughts on your mind? Matter of fact, let's talk about. I know you got some awesome things going on this weekend, right?
Yeah, there's a lot going on, Mike. I definitely appreciate that, man. Still working out some of the strategic plan for the new year. We're looking at 2 programs so far in January, but the collaborations that were developed throughout this year is calling for a lot more communication to really get that nailed in. This today got the pleasure of, for this weekend, I got the pleasure of spending time with Les Brown, Miranda Walker, um, billionaire Bill, Adrian and Miranda Ellis, a few other people, you know. So it's nice because I'm really Poppy Chulo's supposed to be there too. I'm really excited about meeting Les Brown. It was one of those things that throughout this year, I said to myself, okay, I'm going to be on stage with Les Brown. I'm coming for you, Les. I'll never forget looking into one of the cameras that they were recording. I probably have it. I could probably share it with you. Because, I mean, it was my camera guy that was recording. And I said, Les, I'm going to be on stage with you very soon. I'll see you. You know, and by the end of the weekend, that will have been done. I'm really grateful to be able to do that. You know, not too anxious about it or anything like that. Just kind of like reserved. It's very reserved. Feeling good. I feel good right now, Mike. I don't know if you can tell. but like the sun is setting, man. And I'm listening to you talk about joy and about the process and, and about all the different things that have happened. And the sun is setting. And I'm listening to you, how you talk about going into the mall and just sitting down and watching everything. And like I'm sitting here and I got noise cancellation going on in my earbuds and I just hear your voice and I see the sun setting and all the people around me are just like going somewhere and coming from somewhere. And meanwhile, I'm just like presently here with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like perfect.
I saw it. I always tell when the sun catches me when I'm looking out the backyard, I got a little spot that I sit in, and when the sun is coming down and I see Elijah, I'll see him and he'll come outside and I say, "Can't you see God smiling on me right now?" Like, don't you?
Ah,
I said,
come
"Don't you
on. You
see?"
my brother, man. Come on. Stop talking like me.
I
Stop
said,
talking like I think.
I'm like, you don't see how God is smiling on me right now. He was like, "Ah, here you go." I'm like, "No, I'm serious. Like, you got to take time." And it happens all the time if once we connect into it, once we tap into this feeling, it's that, right? I was talking to Beethoven, shouts out to Beethoven, and I told him, I said, man, he was asking me about something. I said, man, this is how I would answer it. I said, oftentimes I'm between the sky and the ground. I'm just trying to balance it all out right now, right? Like I'm in heaven and I'm here on earth, and I'm just trying to figure. And this is a new process for me. So I'm figuring out how to balance this right now. You know what I mean? Like that's the only way that I could describe it, right? Like it's here. So I'm just figuring out how to balance it. And there's times when I'm more towards the ground, which is interesting. And I think we get a chance to have a conversation about that in the upcoming months. I'm towards the ground because we have outside people who don't feel this way, possibly, right? Or at least they don't express it. And so they're like, why is he speaking like this? Like Elijah, like, why is he speaking like this? Or how could he feel this certain kind of way? You know what I mean? Like, and so sometimes, and you got to meet people where they're at, right? But be careful not to dim something within yourself, which I've done. Right? Take it. Ask me how I would normally say, ask me how I know. Right? And I've
And tell,
noticed, and
tell us tell us how this has happened.
right. Well, people are whatever level they at. We've learned that you got the wherever they're at, right? And if you want to be in communication with them, if you want to be in community with certain people, whatever, you have to meet them where they are, right? This is I almost call this like a cheat code with my father, because my father is on this high vibrational level. However, he'll meet with people who aren't necessarily where he's at, and at times it's hard for him to accept that. So what he'll end up doing is he'll end up trying to over explain to somebody about seeing a different perspective. And what happens is that you may, especially if you're attempting, what I tell them is, like, we're attempting to change somebody's worldview. And when you're changing somebody's worldview, you're tapping into their identity. And when you tap into your identity, it's almost like someone telling you to change who you are, because where most people are vested in it. So I'm so super careful about that. And there was time, there's times, and I would say 80 to 90% of the time, it makes absolutely no sense to have the conversation in that regards, right? Like I'm not even gonna have the conversation. I don't have the energy. I don't have the time. I do have it, but it's not a priority to me. I just, hey, okay, I see where you're at. And I kind of go into a different, and we talk about something else. But essentially, you still have to meet somebody where they're at if this is something that you feel as if you want to do. So if I want to give somebody some more information in regards to it, I have to come down to the level to see exactly what it is that they're looking at. And within that, that's why I said 80% of the time I'm just not doing it. There's so many triggers, right? This is when, and when we start to trigger people, they become willfully, what I call willfully ignorant. Like it doesn't matter. This is the way that I see it, and it's based on something that I probably had to do in order to protect myself. So if I start speaking to them about certain things that are going to trigger them, then it doesn't matter it doesn't matter how much I explain it, it doesn't matter how simple I make it, it doesn't matter how effective as a communicator I believe myself to be, because ultimately I'm not, if I'm triggering someone and they're not really being able to receive the information that I'm giving them. Right. So that within itself, there's a time and a place for everything. Oftentimes it's not the time nor the place, because most people aren't even asking you for your feedback. So it's best for me not even, if you're not even asking me for it, then there's no need for me to give it to you, right? That's I kind of play around in those. At the same time, so here's the balance. We are the light, right? We are the salt. So so sometimes it's up to us to interject and give this information. The discernment is the portion of it, right, that I've been working on for a while, and how I connect my own feelings to it. So so being able to watch my father as he navigates it and does it his way is like a superpower to me, because now I'm just like, oh, I can see where I was doing that. I can see how I attempted to put my viewpoint or my thoughts on someone else. And then now I get a chance to see it and say, okay, well, that's not really, quote unquote, effective communication, because you're really not communicating. You're really speaking to somebody, right? There's no communication being involved, and you can give somebody some information that can shatter their world. Are you going to be, what kind of responsibility do you have around that? That's another thought I had, something I had to work through, like plugging out, because I don't want to be responsible for certain things when I have a conversation with certain people. When you shatter somebody's worldview, or you interject something that may challenge their worldview, and I know 99% of people cannot keep two ideals, especially complex ideals, in their mind at the same time. One is good. It's often a war. It becomes a war against yourself. Understanding and knowing that even more extreme to the discernment portion of it, right? So what I say is, at this point, in order not to dim your light, and you're not really dimming it, but to discern, to get around people who receive you. This is the importance of community, which I have on my goals. I'm going to be super prioritized this year. Is to get around a community of people who share similar beliefs, right? And we're all meant we're doing something, right? We're all having purposeful living, whether you choose to acknowledge it or choose to accept it or choose to be accountable to it or not. These things are happening. But find a community of people that will also not just empower you, but also make you feel like you're not the crazy one. You know what I mean? Like you're just not crazy. Find that community of people. For me, I haven't it wasn't where it was as far as I was growing up. It wasn't until I probably was in my late 30s to where I found the community of people that we could actually accept, and we can actually go, and really more importantly, how I can identify these people.
Let me ask you something right there.
Go ahead, brother.
I mean, that's heavy, bro. That's really heavy, because I've gone through two stages of finding my people since in the last 25 years. And the first one was messy. It was very, very messy, but I did find some good people. You're one of them that I eventually found in that process. And then, in the last 5 years, I went through my second stage, which I had a lot more intentionality. So I would like to hear your process. And I'm very cautious on how I ask this question, because I don't want to be leading. I don't want to lead your discussion. I just want to understand, from your perspective, what that felt like, what that looks like, if there is a process, if there's not a process, because I feel like there's a lot of people who have no idea how to find their people.
I, we have we talk about the A's all the time. So it's awareness. You added acknowledgement, and you can use as many A's as you want, but awareness, acknowledgement, acceptance, alignment, adjustment. Like you can kind of go down this pathway as far as a framework is being concerned. And there's no perfect framework, right? I just came up with the idea that the processes and the frameworks are almost meant to be broken, right? Or there's always meant to be something else. But one of the things is this awareness piece, right? Like I don't even know how you get to it. And I'm not sure that there's a perfect way for a person to get to it. But I would say, because I don't want to say that it's a process, but there's something that I'm not aligned with within the construct of this social environment. Like this is an awareness that comes up. Now there's a lot of people who just kind of push it back, right? They don't pay attention to it. There's a lot of pressure from the outside to assimilate. That's going to happen. And I think that's for the majority of people that I come across, or what I've noticed, is that's what's happening, right? 95%, you may have these little pieces where they know that because you gotta know. I think at the core there's a part of us that's why you got all these people doing this healing and this storm, because most people know, like we just know that hey, there's something not right about this environment, right? There's something interesting about working 40 to 50 hours, and then they're making all these adjustments, and these laws are coming up. These laws end up being so complicated, like for people not to understand, like no, like there's something that goes against just human nature in general, right? That we've assimilated to. And then you have ask Elijah. Yes or no? Yeah. Elijah get it for you. He told me he wants something.
Paul don't play.
Yeah. He's dead serious. I'm surprised if he doesn't come back in here. So we just understand that we're out of alignment. But then the awareness of it, right, for a lot of people, which a lot of people don't get to, is of identifying this. Like I'm somewhat out of alignment. And then to find other people who share those same things, like it's almost, what would be the word for it? It's almost like it just happens by serendipitously, right? Because you and I met. Like, what are the chances of us meeting, going through the same class at the same time, with everything that you had going on at the time? At the time, you had just had a loss in the family, right? So you could have easily said, "Yeah, I'm gonna push this off for another year or so." Right? Let me deal with everything that I'm dealing with. You could have said that. I could have said the same thing. I think I just had Elijah close to that time. I could have said, you know what? I got a child. This is not the time or place, because it took a lot. What you and I went through was it was very. It took some. It was time consuming. It was emotional. It was emotionally draining. It could be emotionally draining. It could be physically draining, right? Like all these mentally draining, all these things were happening within the context of how you and I met, right? And we could have easily looked at it, or heck, it could have been as simple as a black ball being dropped, right? Like it could have been, because all it takes is one, but serendipitously it happened. Now, I guess this is the part of the process, like to recognize the importance of these relationships. Now, there is something that we get that we can really break down, outside after we get serendipitously into this situation. How did we decide that this relationship that we were developing and building over time, over however many, over a decade, like how did we figure out like, oh, you know what? I'm going to invest in this relationship for whatever means. And then you say the same, and then I say that to you and in my mind about you, and you say the same thing about me. How am I going to invest in this? I don't think we put a time on it, which I think we got to take out of the equation. We definitely didn't put something monetary on it, right? It was just there's something there. So I get a chance even in that question to I'm really trying to stop it, Lord. To dive into that thought process, right? Like how did we decide, okay, I'm going to invest this person I'm going to invest in, and this person I'm going to invest in. There's something that kind of spoke to each other, right? There's a there's a phrase called kindred spirits, right? So there's a kindred spirits that kind of spoke out probably outside of all this stuff. Because our lifestyles, although we're looking at similar things, are kind of different. Our backgrounds are different, right? We've discussed that. Our lifestyles are different, our backgrounds are different, but then it's this mutual respect, and we're able to meet at a level and say, okay, we're gonna make this exponentially, right? I would even advise, as far as this relationship, for people to magnify that with their significant other, right? Like think about this person that you're with, this significant other that you're with, and we all had our picks and chooses. I know, back in the day they said that geographics played a huge part, and it does, but even within that, how did we end up being at this place and this place? Because timing is crucial for this stuff when you're with your significant other, because you could have been with somebody else, they could have been with somebody else, sometimes they are with somebody else, and then you all meet, and then it develops something. Like just when you start to think about that, like it's hard to understand the process. So I think there's a portion of it that is just like, there's a spiritual aspect to it. Like it, I don't want to say that phrase, but something like it jumped, right? Like something within in you recognized it, right? Now and now, spiritually and emotionally, there was something in your gut, something in your heart that kind of moved towards this person, and then we tend to intellectualize it later on, which I'm doing right now. Like as you all can tell, I over intellectualize things. But in that question, there's something about the spirits that are meeting that it's almost above what I would call above my pay grade. You know what I mean? Like it's not necessarily up for me to understand. It's something for me to obey and submit to, if that makes sense, right? It's the motion of it. Hey, here's an even deeper question. What happens when that moment happens and you refuse? Right? What happens in that moment when you refuse to, quote unquote, work it out? You know what I mean? Like what happens in that moment when you say, I'm just gonna do whatever makes me happy? Like what? Like there's an entirely different thought process for a person to go down, because I think that it happens quite often to people. I think it happens, especially we talk about leaders all the time. For leaders, I say the worst thing in the world to happen to a leader is for them to have someone that's put there for them, and they don't know how to utilize that person, or how to listen, how to bring that person into the process, and they end up alienating that person for whatever reason. Here's a super talented individual that would be an awesome piece to your puzzle, right? But because you are in such a state where you're not connecting with that part of you to understand and to know, you just kind of just let this person go off, right? Like you just, so I think as a leader, I often think about that because I always think that I'm like one of the greatest people, employees in the world, followers. So when a leader doesn't recognize who I am, I'm just like, golly, like you should do some work on yourself. I'm dead
Yeah,
serious. Like when people
yeah,
have, I don't know if you've ever experienced it where if
yeah.
people don't like you, like I don't think I don't think they know who I am. Like,
That's
okay,
it.
you gonna find out. But I still hope all the best for the person. Like I hope all the best for the person, but the timing you didn't recognize, and then I get a chance to really look at myself and like, okay, so how are you showing up? Because at that point in time, maybe you are dimming your light.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I heard someone say the best leader is the person who knows when to follow. Whoa.
Hmm.
Think about this. And I believe this is when you become an effective leader in that sense. It's crazy how I just went from you understand us having this conversation about how to find your tribe to being a leader. I think it all comes together because it's really in regards to community. The best leader is the one who says, "I don't know about this situation. This person knows a little bit more. I'm gonna tap into that." I think that's a part of the community as well. Like within the context of my community that I'm building, which is going to be 10 people. Like I'm going in the next year, 10 people, and maybe there's 10 people in each context of life, but overall, investing heavily into 10 people. Um, how do I utilize this person within my life, and also as important is how can they utilize me within their life? Because there has to be an energetic give and take. Did I answer the question? Did it take me 20 minutes to? Because I was thinking it through too. That was a sharp question. What about you? What are your thoughts on finding the tribe?
So I appreciate you throwing that back my way. I believe that you gave so much good in what you said. You know, what I took out of that was, identity. Having your own identity. I also took out of it alignment. You know, being aligned with um, your higher power, being aligned with your principles, your morals, understanding your own values. What I took out of it was allowing for presence to take place and absorption to that. Um, and I definitely got that from you because there was a lot of allusion to maybe I don't know who it is, maybe they don't know who it is, but then that presence of being present can kind of shape that for you. So I took that out of it too, and a lot of appreciation for that. So with the study that I've done, I believe that what you were saying is like that's it. There's a I would put it as this. We had a discussion maybe 4 years ago about relationships. And one of the things that we talked about was, preparing your own grounds. I believe that we have more challenges in finding our tribe when we have no idea who we are. Because as long as I don't know who I am, then how do I know which tribe is mine? Right? Look at the movie, The Avatar. I think they're about to produce like a third movie. And the first one was like the ground avatar. The second one was like the water avatar. These are all tribes. The tribes that lived in the forest, the tribe that lived underwater, and now they got one. I think it's going to be the tribe that lives by fire, whatever. And it's like they are all within these tribes where they practice the same type of lifestyle. In the world that we live in today, with the activation of connection, I'll say. It's easier for people to connect with people that they've never known, never met. At one time before, you could watch TV and you could see a lifestyle that you only dreamed of, but thought that you would never have it unless you became whatever that is. And then all of a sudden, connection became very easy, very instant. And you were able to see people that appeared to be just like you. You could be like them, or you could at least desire to, and you could chase after that. I think in the development of that type of connection, that people started to stray away from their own personal identity. When we were coming up, Mike, it was like you were exactly who you are. You know, if you were a bookworm, you were called a nerd. You know, if you like to fight, you were called a thug. You know, it was just so easy to identify people and to fall into an identity classification, and tribalism was very simple. They even made a lot of movies back in those days where they had this tribalism going on. You know, especially Spike Lee used to do it, where he would show different tribes of people walking through colleges and things like that, and how they were all separated and segregated. And it may have been a challenge to the minds of people back in the 90s, but I believe that there's a greater deal of challenge now, because it's like, well, what is the separation that makes a tribe? And there's so many, I'm going to say nuances, but there's so many thought patterns that are aligning people nowadays. It's crazy, absolute crazy, because with 8 billion people, or approximately 8 billion people in the world, you can literally be in a tribe of anything and find your people, anything at all. You can be in the tribe of I save a half a cup of coffee, you know, and you will find somebody out there that saves a half a cup of coffee. You can find 10 people and you've got your tribe. So what we talked about 4 years ago, to make a longer story short, was groundwork. Like taking the time, separate yourself from other people, figure out who in the world are you. Because it's very challenging to find out what your tribe looks like when you have no clue who you are or what you look like. Internal mechanisms, right? When you find out who you are, automatically you begin to shine a light in the world, right? And I love that you stated about a leader being able to turn that light on, you know, and how a leader, you know, you said something to the assertion of a leader must first be a good follower, right? Or something to the assertion of that. And so it's like there will be some of that in every single individual. Everybody's going to follow somebody at some point in time, or something. Everybody will, whatever that is, small or large, or whether they admit to it or not. So it's about find out who you are. And then with what you are, start to be that. Just be that. That's how we turn the light on, by being what we are, not by being somebody else, but by being what we are. And when we turn that light on, when we begin to shine, other people around us begin to shine. And when they begin to shine, our lights, they connect, they go together. It's almost like, if you can imagine, to give a visual perspective, if I have a yellow light and 15 people around me, everybody's hiding their light, but I decide I'm going to shine my yellow light, and 15 people decide they're going to shine their lights. They're going to just be themselves no matter what. I may look around and see 5 blue lights, 3 green lights, 7 and 7 yellow lights. And now I see, because I'm shining, because you're shining, because they're shining. Those lights, they're light together. And we can explore whether or not that is enough or if there's still need for more. But the key to it, I believe, is self-identity. And you said it, awareness. Simply being aware of who you are without any type of restrictions. No lies, no masks, just you being you, me being me, they being they, them being them. And I believe that once we do that, we turn the polarity on inside of our lives and we begin to attract those that are like us. And they show up. That's what I would answer it with.
Self-discovery. I was on mute, so I was talking to myself. Yeah, self-discovery. I love it. And it. Here's the interesting part about the self-discovery is that it's a never-ending journey. Right?
Oh man.
It's a never-ending journey. I get calls now from my brothers that's they'll call me and they'll say, man, guess what I just found out about myself. I'm like, it's an awesome thing, right? It's an awesome thing to find that out about yourself and be able to explore that within yourself, right? It goes back to the beginning of the show. I think a lot of in the journey frameworks, like a lot of these things were meant to be. Yeah, a lot of these things were meant to be broken. So, and in your exploration, you can really go through that. And you mentioned something else about just kind of getting to yourself. I think that's super important. It's super important to get. I don't know. So for some of you, it might just be like in a car. It might be in a something, and you just get to know and understand and accept yourself. And here it is. When you're, I would imagine if you're in connection with people, let them know too, because you'll be a whole different person if all you're doing is this. You're doing all this by yourself, and then you get to a point, and you're, the other person that you're in relation to, they're looking at it and they're like, I don't even know, because for most people, it almost seems like it happened overnight when it could have been a 5-year thing. So if you're in relation with someone, to communicate those things. I do it all the time with the kids, right? Especially Elijah. Like I come up with these thoughts and these epiphanies, and I look, if he's with me or later on, I say, man, I had this thought. And I look at Elijah's probably like, here go this old man again. But what I also teach him as well is, because what I'm attempting to give him is for himself to become aware and to make the decisions, not based on what I say, because what I say is different. You brought up something, brother, about something that historically how things were, right? In the 80s, 90s, whatever, like how we came think. It's a different ball game now. Some of these things are outdated. Right? Like I can't tell him that, oh yeah, well in the 80s or 90s I did this, right? I'm looking at him like, listen, it don't even make no sense. So I'm letting you know. However, there are principles within that when you go across the board. So you'll see it in the 80s. It's you just make the adjustment to it. And I think that that's brings a whole different conversation where a lot of people, men specifically, we are not making the adjustment. We are aware of the problem. We speak about the problem, but we don't figure out how to, critically think around changing. I think that is one of the big differences between, people who are living a joyful and grateful and so on and so forth life and cultivating the life of their dreams, and people who are not, right? The people who are cultivating the life of their dreams, they're finding things out, they're accepting it, they're maneuvering as such. Whereas the people who aren't, they're just like, and I get it. You're kind of upset about the way things are. Some people are just they just upset like this. This is the way this happened, right? They gain a charge off of it, and it tends to make slow down and they want to be in that moment as opposed to saying, the relationship to it is just slightly different. It's a slight different process, right? And what I'm saying is not to suppress how you feel about it. It's interesting. I had a conversation this week with someone, and they said something to me, and it was interesting how they said it to me. They said, "You're not upset about it, are you?" Like they just told me the information that was interesting information, new information, and then immediately what they attempted to do, they were doing it for themselves. So they weren't attempting, I'm not gonna say they were doing it to me. They were doing this thing. However, I could have easily took the bait, which I did initially. I was like, it's nothing. But then when I further thought about it, and I don't necessarily have to have the conversation with the other person, when I thought about it, I was just like, nah, I'm allowed to feel this way. Like I can have this feeling because it's, I go back to my principle, emotions are a signal. So this is signaling something within me, right? So I'm allowed to have this emotion. I'm allowed to have this feeling, brother. This is what I'm telling you. You're allowed to have this emotion, whatever it may be, however you identify it. You're allowed to understand how it signals you. And then you can kind of figure it out from that point on, whether it's okay, I'm accepting it, I'm going to make the adjustment. You can draw your own insights from it, right? You can draw your own, how you're going to move in that situation, and which we do, because you're doing this subconsciously, right? Oftentimes what we do is we do it the way that we've always been doing it. But now I can be in relation to this differently. Okay, so now I'm disappointed. That's the feeling that I'm having, a feeling of disappointment. Years ago, it probably would have been anger, right? But now I understand that I can differentiate it to be disappointment. Now I can say, well, how am I in relation to this disappointment? I'm going to tell you what's so dope about it was I was grateful for it because I was like, I haven't felt this in a while. It made me feel alive. Like it was interesting because I had this disappointment where I was just like, oh, I'm disappointed and I'm really disappointed about this person. And I saw my brain, because I've developed a neural pathway of 30 plus years of going in a certain direction. I saw my brain go in a certain direction. Then I was able to get to this self where I was just like, Mike, I see where you took it. Even laughing at myself of where I took it, right? And then I was able to find joy in it by saying, well, you haven't had these sensations within your body in a long time. What does that feel like? And I'm like, this is different. Like I haven't felt this way in a while. That's a different sensation. Symptomatic, the somatic feeling. I'm telling you, brother, you can even learn to enjoy it to where it's just like, and be grateful for it. Like this is a normal feeling, right? I love Dre once said that we tend to make things that are normal, we make it seem as if it's only happening to us. It's not. People have these feelings and these things around. So I don't make it just about, this is a normal feeling for me to have to be disappointed. That's funny where you took it. Where can you take it? Now the possibilities are endless, right? Same thing we can do with fear, because fear and shame and all these different things, they can keep us in a certain spot. And once we become this way, we can become binary, or we can actually just become one way, because we've developed a way of how in our mind, which is the way that we express things. But when you can start to allow this stuff to flow through you, you can take it there's an abundant ways, now abundance is in line, because I can take it any kind of way. it can push me to work harder towards something. What it can actually do is it can actually make you, if there's something lacking in your process, now you can say, oh, okay, so that's why I'm losing 75% of my clients. That one little spot right there. Okay, this is the bottleneck. I realize this is the bottleneck within this process. Same thing with your significant other. Oh, so this is when I normally shut down. Right here's this trigger that allowed me to shut down where I don't want to communicate because they should already know. You know what I mean? Look how narcissistic we can be. I hate using the word narcissistic, but I'm using it because I really want to blow this crazy narcissistic word up because we're using it wrong. Because we all have these tendencies of where it's about me, right? But I can say, okay, so this is why, because this person should just expect it. No, this is a chance for us to explore this thing, right? That maybe that's the expectation. Hey, this is when this happens. My expectation is for us to explore this thing. Now, maybe you don't want to do it. I'm gonna figure out what it is within myself, how to explore it, and I get a chance to be better, or I get a chance to whatever. And now I can actually be going back to the lead. I can actually be the leader in this thing if this is not the case, or that person may be able to explore it even better than you can. Now you just opened up something that this person might be repressing because they don't know how you're going to take it. You see, I want you all to understand that all of this came from disappointment, a deep disappointment in first to start off with the individual. Then it was, no, I'm disappointed in me. And this is where I normally take it. But now I can take it to all these other different places. With or without the individual. If they want to be involved with it, awesome. If not, wait till they get a load of me, right? Like later. Because when this happens again, because these situations tend to come up, right? When it happens again, let's see. Now is another chance to test this thought process, this feeling, this signal. Right. And when we think about life, like that's how I'm finding joy in a lot of this stuff. Right. Like imagine all the things that we get upset about that happen, what they say, life is lifing, right? Like these things are happening, right? You're gonna get a flat tire on this journey. Now imagine me getting out every time for the flat tire, just super upset about the road, super upset about, this person and what they threw down, and every time this is my thought process. Every time there's a nail in my tire, every time. Well, why you keep riding past those construction sites, Mike, and not expecting these things? You know what I mean? Why do you keep taking this road? Or if you have to take this road, okay, so how am I going to go about making this something joyful? And for me, it could become a game. How fast can I change this tire? I know this is happening. How can I be like, well, how can I turn this into something that becomes joyful for me as opposed and I'm growing from it. If I'm a growth minded individual, of course. All from disappointment.
I love it, man. I love the way that you just kind of like broke that entire piece down, and took the time to be present. And I think that circles back to, kind of like the opening of this whole question about relationships and tribalism, because we were talking about being, doing, and having all at once. And that was it right there,
Yeah.
It's like you can be in the middle of responding, and meanwhile you start to just become very, very present of the gift and the opportunity that you actually just received. And it's like these things can happen in tandem. They don't have to be isolated, and sometimes I believe that we take things and we isolate them because it appears to be simple, or it appears to be easy. Let me say it that way. It appears to be easy. If I separate all of the ingredients, I can understand it better. But it's not until I put the ingredients together. For instance, my pastor always talks about the cake. It's not until I put all the ingredients together and then bake it until I can taste the deliciousness of a cake. Because if I just eat vanilla extract, it's not so good. If I just get yeast, it's not so good. But even if I get a handful of sugar and try to just eat a handful of sugar, it's not so good. No matter how sweet it is, it just doesn't feel right, taste right. It's not enjoyable. But when I put it together, all of a sudden I can make something beautiful out of it. And the crazy part about that whole analogy is that it's not until I put it to the test. It's not until I put fire to it. It's not until I mix it all together and put it into the oven that I get a chance to really see what it brings about. And so it just reminds me of, what we are talking about, whether it's finding your own tribe, your own community, or finding yourself, self-discovery, that each and every last one of these things that we talked about, they all have their own components, even joy, its own components, its own ingredients. And sometimes we stumble upon a piece, a component, an ingredient. Sometimes we learn about an ingredient and we go out on the quest to find the next ingredient, right? And then it takes the process of all of this and every single person we meet along the way, because somebody's going to teach us how to use something. Somebody's going to show us how not to use something. Somebody's going to walk with us for a season. Somebody's going to walk with us for a lifetime. Somebody is not going to walk with us at all. But if we can learn to be present in all of these moments, the more ingredients we're able to gather in, because not only are we gathering in these components, but the reason why people will walk with us for a season or a lifetime, or maybe not at all, is because we're also sharing what we have along the way. And some people enjoy that sharing. So they want to walk with us because they recognize us as givers. And when you're a giver, people like to be around you because of the gift. They don't have to be takers. There are some people who are only takers. But the more we give, the more we recognize other givers. And givers love being around givers because that is a form of community. Givers don't always like being around takers because they realize that they always come back empty. It's a form of community development. And if you're a giver and you love people taken from you, you love feeling empty, you love feeling alone, you love feeling lost, I'm going to venture out to say it's because you don't have your own identity. And maybe you just need to stop trying to be a part of a community and just find yourself. Then go back to work on your community. I love it, bro.
Yeah, man. I love it. I would just submit one more thing in regards to givers. If you're a giver, you're a giver. If someone is taking until you feel empty, like you mentioned, then there's something about you that you get a chance to super get down on it, because it shouldn't make you stop from being a giver. It's not about them being a taker. They got their own thing. I would honestly say that you should be blessed if you're a giver just to be able to give. They can't take what you don't give from you, right? So there's something about that. Like I heard a brother once say there's a difference between serving and people pleasing. You get a chance to figure out which one you are in. Because if you're serving, it is what it is. Like, how many of us have done a Thanksgiving giveaway and we served the community? All the food was gone because everybody came. Nobody wanted to cook all the food, or that day, everybody wanted the food, and it was all gone. What does that do for you? That didn't make you less than or whatever, because that, you were serving. Now
if you're doing things and there's something behind it, like you're just attempting to do it to please somebody else, now you're going to get into a situation because you're not doing it to serve, you're doing it to please. There's two totally different things, right? Givers are going to give, and I think most people are in that kind of way, and also allow people to give to you as a giver. Stop taking other. I had a conversation with someone recently, and hopefully she may be watching this because I sent her some money, and she sent it back to me, and she was like, "Oh no, don't worry about it." I said, "Well, now you taking my blessing away. You taking my blessing away from being able to give. This wasn't about you. This wasn't because I'm telling you, I do not feel guilty about telling people no. Joe, maybe you got to, I'm sorry. Joe, maybe you got to tell people. Say, hey, Mike will tell you no. He'll tell you no, and that just be that. Like it's
that's it.
Mike will do it to you. Mike will say, hey, Mike, nah. And he may not even give you an explanation. He just says no, and we move on from there. Or at least I move on from there. I'm just like, no. If you feel a way about it, we can have a conversation about it, but it's not there's no guilt in it for me, right? So when I give, because I really owned in on that part about being a cheerful giver, because for a while I wasn't. I was just giving because I felt as if I was obligated to. I came to an understanding that hey, if I'm giving, I'm giving. It don't even matter. Whatever you do with it, whatever you take from it, whatever, that's totally up to you. Like I don't feel like I've been tooken, like, I got over on them. Okay, I gave it to you, right? And then there's times when maybe he didn't. I don't feel guilty about that. I was a cheerful giver. I didn't necessarily even expect it back. Whatever the giving is. If you all don't know, I really love me. I used to really, really like me. Now I really, really love me. So that takes away a lot of all this other stuff. So awesome. Thanksgiving leftovers. I'm hoping that you all enjoyed this episode. I see the sun officially set, it seems like, in the background. And I know I kept the brother longer than we probably anticipated. Awesome show. Next week, I think I personally am aiming for another series to end out this year. I'm sure me and the brother get together and figure out exactly what it is. I'm really loving the connection piece and possibly being able to explore that in regards to relationship with others and within yourself. What does that connection look like? So maybe that's what we go through. I don't know. I also want us to really do a full-blown series on the A's. The awareness, the acknowledgement, the acceptance, and the alignment. I know we spoke about it briefly. I think we had one episode that was totally on it, right? But to actually go into it for each piece of it, as far as that framework is concerned, which I really don't think is a framework. I just think it's it's just what happens when you take notice of things. But maybe we can jump into that. So there's no lack of information that we're doing it, because on this journey, and once you understand that piece of, it's like a never-ending thing, right? It's just like, hey, you create which I love. I love creating the frameworks, and I create these frameworks just to break them, and then have the brother give me some more information that's like, okay, that's gone. You know what I mean? Like that's out of there, because this one is just, like that's. I personally, I think that's dope. A lot of people in my tribe tend to have that. Like, we create something and then we're just like, but did you hear about this? And we're like, oh, yeah, that's dope. So I think we'll figure out what this series is, brother.
Sounds good, man. I like the idea of connection. There's just so much into that. Connection with God, connection with self, connection with family, friends, community, and there's inanimate, animate. It's just so much. I love that idea of connection, and I love the idea of deep diving into the A-frame. So I'm down for it, man. That sounds like 2 months worth of work right there. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let me know which one you want to start on first,
do it.
and we'll start.
For sure. People, we love you. We'll see you next week, God willing, and the creek don't rise. Peace.
Peace out.
Yo, check the mic, 1, 2, Beacon is the name. Lights up the city, ain't playing no games. Joel Simmons and Michael, Seville, the vision is clear. Dropping knowledge, conquering all of your fear. Beacon, that's the sound of the future. The main hosts are here, they built the whole structure. Community strong, we rise from the ground, a beacon power.